Well, today, we'll start laying on our backs. Knees bent, feet on the floor, and let's go ahead and find our alignment. So we'll do a quick check that our feet are in line with one another and with our sit bones, the tailbone's anchored, space is present under the lower back. We're wrapping the ribs inwards, the chest is open, shoulders are grounded, and the back of the neck is long. Let's pull the belly inwards and just feel that nice engagement of our deepest abs of the front of the belly without moving anything. So we're going to keep the space under the low back, keep the tailbone anchored. Let's hold that pull and just try to take a couple breaths without letting that go. So we're breathing inwards and keeping the pulling in of the belly button, and then breathing out and feeling if we can maintain that same gentle pull inwards of our abdominal muscles. We'll just take 2 more breaths like this. Inhale, maybe the ribs flare side to side to give you space for that. Exhale, wrapping the ribs. And inhale, pulling the tummy inwards, keeping the space under the low back, holding that just gentle abdominal engagement. And we'll exhale and wrap the ribs. All right. Taking an inhale, on your next exhale, bring your low back down to the mat. Tilt your pelvis, push the low back down into the floor. Let's lift the bum just a little bit. And then come back down to a neutral pelvis and spine. So we'll exhale and bring the low back down to the floor, lift the tailbone, bum drifts off the floor a little bit, stay focused on the abdominals, and then come back down to a neutral pelvis and spine. Exhale, low back down to the ground, tucking the pelvis, lifting the bum a little bit, really pulling the pubic bone towards the ribs so we get that long low back and engagement of the tummy. Coming back down to a neutral pelvis and spine. Exhale, low back down to the floor, tucking your pelvis a lot, bum comes off the ground a little bit, and then we'll come right back down to neutral on the inhale. Let's just do 2 more of these. Exhale, low back down, tuck, long low back, strong belly, and inhale, coming back down to neutral. 1 more, exhale, low back down, tucking the tail, lifting the tailbone up a little bit, hold it, and then come right back down to neutral. All right, we're gonna go all the way up into a bridge now. Exhale, low back to the floor, tuck your pelvis, peel your spine off the mat, lifting your hips, rolling through your spine, coming all the way up into that nice long bridge, engaging the backs of your thighs. Roll back down, 1 bone at a time, lengthening your spine down onto the floor, coming all the way down and finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom. Let's do that again. Low back down on the exhale, tuck your pelvis, long low back, peel your spine off the mat, using your abs for as long as you can before you need to shift to the backs of the thighs. Roll back down, 1 bone at a time, lengthening your spine down onto the floor, finding neutral at the bottom. Inhale. Exhale, low back to the floor, tuck your pelvis, peel your spine off the mat, lifting your hips 1 bone at a time. We're lifting the spine off the mat. Hold it, strong hamstrings, roll back down, 1 bone at a time, lengthening down onto the floor and finding neutral at the bottom. We're going to do 1 more here. Low back down, tuck your pelvis, and peel your spine off the mat. Lifting up, hold at the top for a moment, feel your inner thighs engage a little bit more, lift from your seat a little bit more, and then pull your heels towards your bottom to feel those hamstrings working, backs of the thighs engaged. Hold it, take a nice deep breath. Inhale again, and then on your next exhale, roll down 1 bone at a time, lengthening your spine onto the floor, coming all the way down and finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom, tailbone anchored, pelvis level, space present under the lower back, ribs wrapped. Let's lift 1 leg up to tabletop. Inhale, lower it down. Exhale, lift it back up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. As we're going, the movement is only at the hip joint. Keep your knee really still. Again, we're going to focus on our abdominal muscles. So wrap your tummy inwards as you lift the leg and keep that wrapping and pulling inwards as you lower. So just like we did at the beginning, keeping still with no movement and pulling in with the belly, we want that same gentle engagement as we're moving the leg from the hip. Let's do one more on this side. Go ahead and put it down. Let's go to the other leg. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Keeping that gentle pulling inwards, keeping that space present underneath your lower back. Wrapping the lower ribs inwards, keeping the belly button pulling inwards towards the spine. Move with your breath. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Good. Keep it going. Let's do another 3 and 2. Good. We'll do one more here. Lift your leg up, hold it. Keep the lift. Check that your pelvis is still neutral, that we have that pulling inwards of the tummy. And then let's go ahead and take a deep inhale. And we'll exhale and switch the legs. Inhale, pause. Exhale, switch. So we take the time to inhale with the foot hovering above the floor. Should really maximize the weight on the abdominal muscles. We want to keep that pulling inwards the whole time of the tummy, really drawing inwards with the belly button. Good. Moving the legs in the air. So we get that weight in the abdominals, weight in our hip flexors. Engage your inner thighs just a little bit. See if you can keep that awareness. Tailbone anchored down, pull your tummy in more. We're doing 2 more on each side. Taking your time. 1 more on each side. And we'll put the feet down on the floor when you're even. Again, matching your feet. Let's take our arms out to a T, palms up. We'll scooch our legs towards one another, squeezing the legs together. And then let's lift one hip off of the floor. Legs go to the diagonal, shoulder stays down. And then coming back to center. Let's go ahead and keep it small for a moment, really focusing on lifting the hip, using your abdominals and your obliques. Bring your pelvis back to neutral, and then lifting the other hip, using your abdominals to do so. Try not to move by pushing into your feet at all. So we're just lifting one hip off the floor, trying to really feel those obliques and abdominal muscles work, and then coming back to center and lifting the other hip. Strong side body, coming back to center. Let's just do one more on each side like this, really focusing on not necessarily having a large movement, but using our obliques to turn the pelvis at the end of the spine. Coming to center, we'll pause, lifting the legs up one at a time to tabletop, holding there. And then let's go ahead and do the same movement again, this time with no feet on the floor and legs in the air. It's more challenging, but let's keep it small. Lift a hip, really try to feel that you're using your obliques to lift that hip, and then pull it back to center. Focusing the work on the side body, really trying to maybe control the movement more so that the legs can't pull you as far, and just keeping it smaller to really focus on using the side body to turn the pelvis at the end of the spine. Lifting the hip, using those strong obliques, resisting the weight of the legs, and then coming back to center, coming to neutral. We can add that little pelvic tilt if we like. So legs go to the diagonal by lifting that side, and then we pull the low back down to the floor to come to center, and then come back to neutral. So we're thinking lift the hip by engaging the side body. Pull the low back to the floor, again, those side body muscles working, and then coming to neutral, and then going to the other side, lifting the hip, using those strong obliques, pulling the low back to the floor, nice and controlled, and then we come back to neutral. Let's go to the other side, lifting the hip, and then engaging the side body, bringing the low back down to the ground. And then let's go just one more on the other side to keep us even. And so lifting the hip, and then pulling from the obliques to come back to center, finding neutral. Let's put our feet down onto the floor, and we'll go ahead and grab our circle. All right, let's go ahead and put the circle between the legs above the knees. We'll warm up our inner thighs. So let's go ahead and bring the feet together. So the feet are touching. We have our tailbone heavy. We still are keeping that space under the lower back, neutral pelvis and spine. Go ahead and squeeze your circle on the exhale. And inhale, release. We'll exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. And we're taking our time again here. And as we go, squeeze the circle, pull your sit bones towards one another, and then release the circle and the pelvic floor. So exhale, squeeze the circle, sit bones pull towards one another. Inhale, release. Good. Keeping your tummy pulling inwards that whole time. Let's find that gentle pull, that gentle wrapping inwards. Exhale, squeeze the circle, sit bones pull towards one another, belly button draws in towards the spine. Inhale, release all of that. So moving with the breath, engaging with the breath, and taking your time. Good. Exhale, squeeze, sit bones pull towards one another, tummy pulls in, inhale, release. And if you need to breathe more than that, then breathe more. But take your time, letting your body feel the engagement of these three different muscle groups, engaging the inner thighs, the pelvic floor, our abdominals. Good. Let's do two more here. Squeeze, sit bones, abs, release. One more. Squeeze, pelvic floor, tummy pulls in, release. Let's go ahead and take a moment, check we're still neutral with the pelvis, pull the tummy inwards and lift both legs up to tabletop. Once you're there, we're going to hold the position and squeeze the circle and hold the squeeze. So we should feel our inner thighs engage and we're holding that consistent pressure on the circle. Once you're there, we're going to go ahead and bring the low back down to the floor. So let's go ahead and tilt the pelvis, really lifting up with the tailbone a little bit, holding that squeeze on the circle. See if you notice a difference in the engagement in your belly. So we're holding a squeeze, the low back's on the floor. Let's come back to neutral. We're going to do that again. So low back down to the floor, lift your tailbone, hold the squeeze on the circle, stay here, lift your tailbone a little bit more, really pull in with your tummy. Good. And then come back to neutral. We should feel work in our abdominals. Hold the squeeze on the circle, low back down to the ground, lift your tail, hold that position, pull your tummy in more, really draw that abdominal wall inwards while you hold that position. Good. Coming back to neutral. We're going to do three more of these. Low back down, keeping the squeeze on the circle, lift your tailbone, hold the position, pull your tummy in, really wrapping the abdominal wall inwards, and then coming back to neutral. Two more, squeezing the circle. We're still holding that squeeze. Lift your tailbone, low back to the mat, hold the position. Keep breathing and coming back to neutral. Last one, low back down, really lifting the tail, pull your tummy in, breathe and hold, drawing your belly button inwards, pulling your pubic bone towards your ribs, pulling your abdominal wall inwards and back to neutral. Go ahead and put your feet down on the floor. Let's take the circle out from between the legs. We'll put it off to the side for a moment, taking one leg all the way straight on the mat and leveling the pelvis once it's there. Other leg to tabletop and then up towards the ceiling. If you can, we're going all the way to the sky, but I'd like you to straighten your legs. So if it means that you're a little bit further out on the diagonal, that's okay. Let's go ahead and either flex the foot or keep it relaxed. Pull inwards with your abdominal wall again, and then let's make some circles from the hip. Inhale, one circle, and exhale, one circle. And as you're going, our first priority is our pelvic stability. So we are keeping those hips really, really, really still. And making sure there's no shifting side to side of the pelvis, no tilting, the low back is off the floor. Good. Let's do two more in this direction, pulling inwards with the tummy. And one more, and then let's go the other way, stirring the leg and the hip joint. Inhale, one circle. Exhale, one circle, and really trying to focus on using our deep abdominal muscles to stabilize the hips here as the leg moves in the hip joint. Good. 2 more in this direction. 1 more, come to center. Let's point the foot and then flex and point and flex and point and flex. We're going to do that 3 more times, just moving that ankle with the leg extended. And 1 more point, bend your knee, hug your knee into your chest. Let's just make some circles with that leg in the hip joint here, making sure that we're feeling like we're getting some good movement in those hip flexors. And then we'll take that leg all the way out. Hopefully that feels like a little bit of a nice length in the front of the hip. Take your other leg up to tabletop and then up to the ceiling. Let's flex or relax the foot and then pulling in with the tummy, making sure the pelvis is still neutral and level. Let's go ahead and take some circles. Inhale, 1 circle. And exhale, 1 circle, really pulling inwards with your tummy. We are making sure that the pelvis stays completely still, that the abdominal muscles are supporting that stability. Good. Stirring the leg in the hip joint. Pulling inwards even more with your belly button. 2 more in this direction. 1 more, let's go the other way, stirring the leg in the hip joint. Inhale, 1 circle, and exhale, 1 circle. Good. Let's do 3 and 2. We'll do 1 more. Hold the leg at center, point your foot, flex, point the ankle, flex the ankle. Moving the ankle, we're going to do another 4 and 3, point and flex, 2. 1 more, and then point, bend your knee, bring the leg in towards your chest, and then make some nice little circles here again, just getting that good movement. All right, let's take that leg all the way out straight with the other one. Let's grab our circle again and put it between your hands. Let's squeeze the circle, shoulders grounded down. And then reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Nice and slow. Find some nice extension here. Reaching up towards the sky, holding consistent pressure on the circle. Lift your head and shoulders, bring the circle to your legs. Reach forward, roll through your spine, coming up to a C shape. Once you're in that C, shoulders just forward of the hips, tummy pulling backwards, lifting the C shape up, inhale, and then exhale, roll back down. Nice and slow. Let's try to take our time, bring the low back down to the mat first, and then the next vertebrae, and the next, and the next. We'll take our arms up to the ceiling, and then inhale, lifting the head and shoulders. Let's keep just a little squeeze on the circle, just a gentle one. Exhale, use your abs, roll through your spine, coming up to that C, maybe using the circle as a little bit of weight, a little bit of leverage. Pause here, tummy pulls backwards. We'll lift up the C shape just a little bit and then roll it back down. Try and relax our shoulders, letting the circle come down towards the legs as we roll down. Reaching the circle towards the feet and then bringing the arms just right up over the chest. Let's do that 1 more time, lifting the head, circle to the legs, reaching forward, using that leverage. The lower you bring your hands, the more that it will help you with the weight leverage. Pause here, stack your spine, sitting up nice and tall. All right, let's go ahead and bend those arms. Bring the circle right in front of your chest. Feel the lift through the crown of your head. Look forward, head back in line with the spine. We're grounded in the sit bones. The legs are anchored on the floor. Let's go ahead and squeeze and release the circle here. We are holding our best posture, squeezing on the exhale, inhale, release. We are working the chest and the biceps, lifting the crown of the head up towards the ceiling, really trying to get our very, very tallest posture all the way from the tailbone through the spine, through the lower back, the mid back, the upper back, and the neck. Let's do 2 more here and 1 more. All right, let's take the circle onto one shoulder and hold the circle there. And let's begin to squeeze and release. Good. Staying as tall as you can with your posture again. We are focused on holding this nice tall posture with 90 degrees of hip flexion and really using the abdominal muscles and the hip flexors to help maintain that. If you need to bend your knees or you need to sit in a cross-legged position, that is fine. Focus on your arms and then focus on your posture. Good. Let's do 3 and 2. Nice strong biceps. 1 more. And then go to the other side. Circle on the other shoulder. Sitting again, really tall. Notice the position of your head and your neck. Notice the position of your sit bones where they're pushing into the floor. Pull inwards with your tummy. Lift up more through your spine. Engage your strong biceps. Good, yes. Keep lifting up, keep pulling inwards with your belly. Let's do another 3 and 2. Good, we'll do 1 more here. And then let's go ahead and take the circle. We're going to put it back between our hands. Elbows are lifting out to the sides just a little bit, but we're relaxed with our upper traps. So no pulling those shoulders up towards the ears. Lift up through the crown of your head, ground down with your sit bones. If you have your legs crossed, let's go to a either bent leg or straight legs out in front. And then we're going to add rotation. So twist 2 pulses, come to center. Exhale, twist 2 pulses, inhale, center. Let's hold a little squeeze on the circle and focus on keeping the circle directly in front of your chest. Engage your upper back. Pull in with your tummy. Stay as tall as you can. Twisting from the waist. 2 pulses, then center. Exhale into rotation. Inhale as you come to center. Let's do just a couple more on each side. When you're even, let's come to center and reach those arms back out in front, round to your C shape. So that comes from the lower to mid back and then roll down onto your mat, coming down nice and slow and controlled, 1 bone at a time, coming all the way onto your mat. Arms go up to the ceiling, and then we'll go ahead and bend the legs. Let's put the circle up against one thigh, and we're going to lift that leg up. We're going to hold the circle with one arm today. So the arm of the leg that you have lifted is the only hand on the circle. And I want you to give a really nice push, and I want you to think about pulling your shoulder down away from your ear as you push, and your elbow can be nice and bent so that we feel a lot of engagement through that arm and through the shoulder. Good, holding there. Let's pull that knee just a little bit closer to the chest, just with as much tension as your arm can tolerate. And then let's focus on keeping the pelvis neutral. So pulling in with the tummy, tailbone anchored, and just holding a little bit of pressure on that arm. Good, excellent. All right, we're going to go ahead and put that foot down. Let's go to the other side, switching arms, switching legs. We're going to push gently with our arm, pulling the shoulder down towards the back pocket, shoulder away from the ear, pelvis is neutral. And then we're just going to pull in with the leg a little bit and hold that position. So we should feel abdominal work, maybe a little in the hip flexors, and our shoulder and arm engaged. We want to be pushing a lot with our lats. So we're coming from the muscle that wraps around the shoulder blade. Good. And then we'll go ahead and put that foot down. All right, let's go ahead and put the circle off to the side, and we'll all turn over onto our side bodies. Laying on your side, head resting on your arm. Let's go ahead and take the bottom leg bent, top leg straight. We're lengthening the leg, turning the toes heavily towards the floor, and then let's make sure the pelvis is stacked and the waist is lifting up, the tummy is pulling in. Let's go ahead and lift and lower here. Just starting with a little bit of hip abduction to warm up those smaller glutes, making sure that we're keeping the pelvis really still as we go. No movement at all in the pelvis, ideally. We're keeping all that strength from our abdominal muscles. Good, breathing, keep breathing here. We can exhale, lift, inhale, lower. The leg goes up and then it just goes back in line with the hip, so we're not dropping it to the floor. One more. And then holding the leg in line with the hip, let's go ahead and bring it in front of the body. Lift your leg up and over to come back. And then we're going forward again. So leg goes in front. We lift up and over, big half circle to come back and forward. Lifting up and over, trying to keep that lift from the underside of the waist, the tummy pulling inwards. Leg comes forward. Lifting up and over to come back. Good. Exploring that range of motion again. Forward, up and over. We're going to do one more in this direction. Forward, up and over. And then let's go the other direction. Now we're pulling back and we want to be very cautious that we're not swaying the low back or arching the low back as the leg goes behind. Then we'll lift up and over to come forward. So pulling back, squeeze that booty, don't arch the back, and then lift up and over. And pulling back, neutral pelvis and lifting up and over. Good. Squeeze your buns, keep the pelvis neutral, abs engaged, lifting up and over to come forward. Good. Pulling back, strong booty, lift it up and over to come forward. One more in this direction. Pull back, lift up and over, keep your leg out in front once it lands there. And then we're lifting and lowering out front. Good. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Yes, use that strong side butt, lift from the underside of your waist, pull your tummy in towards your spine. Good. Keep your toes nice and heavy. We're just doing 3, 2, 1 more. Keep it out front, pulse it towards the floor just for a moment. Pulsing down, 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 down. Good. Breathe. Pull in with your tummy. For 4, 3, 2, 1, lower it down, massage for your bottom if it needs it. Let's take both legs nice and straight on the mat and squeeze them together, lift them right away to a hover. Let's keep this isometric hold of the obliques for a moment while we check our alignment, making sure that the pelvis is either stacked or that top hip is going back a little bit. If you need to, you can also bring your legs further forward. We don't want no discomfort in the lower back. We want to feel our obliques working. Good. Hand on the floor, thigh, ceiling, or all the way overhead for a challenge. Let's go ahead and lift those legs up higher. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. Focusing on shortening the space on the top side of your waist as you lift your legs, pulling that hip bone up towards the rib cage, really engaging from the side body, strong obliques, pulling the tummy inwards to support the spine. Good. Let's do another 3 and 2. 1 more, lower it down. Let's take our legs to the other end of the mat. Once your legs are on the other end, let's lay down, quickly check our alignment. Head resting on arms, shoulders, hips stacked, waist lifting up, tummy pulling inwards, our knees are bent, top leg goes straight, toes heavy towards the floor, lengthening through the leg, waist lifting up, tummy pulling in, and let's lift and lower. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Good. Keep reaching long through your leg. Keep that internal rotation. Excellent. Keep breathing. tummy pulling inwards, strong from the side of your bottom. Nice stable pelvis. We're doing 2 more. And 1 more, leg goes in line with the hip. Toes still heavy, tummy pulling inwards, leg comes out in front, lifting up and over to come back, and then coming out in front again. And lifting up and over, exploring a range of motion, pulling inwards with your belly, feeling the side of your bum work, especially as you hit that top part of your half circle. Good. Nice lift from the underside of the waist. We are really strong through the smaller muscles around the hip joint. 1 more here. Forward, lifting up and over to come back, finding that center position, and then we're going to go the other way. Again, aware right away that the pelvis is staying neutral. As we pull back, we squeeze the bum, we check we didn't arch the lower back, and then lift up and over to come forward. So pulling back again, strong glutes, stable low back, lifting up and over. Pulling back, tummy stays pulling inwards, lifting up and over, and pulling back. Strong glutes, lifting up and over, pulling back, and lifting up and over to come forward. We'll do 1 more here. Pull back, squeeze that booty, lift up and over as you come forward. Pause there. Feel the lift from the underside of your waist, your tummy pulling inwards. Lift and lower here. Lift and lower. Good. Keep it going. Toes heavy. We're internally rotated from the hip. We're keeping the tummy pulling in the whole time. The waist lifting up off the floor. Good. We're just going to do 1 more here. And then pause out front, pulse towards the floor. Little pulses down, 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 down. Good. Stay with it. Really strong from the side of your bottom. Pulsing down, down, down. Breathing for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down. Massage for your bottom if it needs it. And then let's go ahead and straighten those legs all the way. Squeeze them together, lift them to a hover and hold. Begin to feel that engagement of the side body, squeezing your legs together, tummy pulling inwards towards your spine, and then hip bone pulls towards your ribs as we lift on the exhale. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. We really want to feel all those strong obliques working to pull the hip bone towards the rib cage, to bend the torso sideways. A palm on the floor for balance if it's needed. Maybe taking an arm to the ceiling or an arm overhead for a challenge, keeping the squeeze of the legs together. Good. 3 more here. And 2. We'll do 1 more. Lower it down. And then let's all go ahead and turn over onto our bellies. Once you're laying on your belly, arms down by the sides, reaching your fingertips towards your feet, lengthening through the back of the neck, pulling inwards with your belly button. And then let's inhale and lift the chest off the mat, extending through the upper back, and exhale, lower it down. As you inhale, think about lengthening your spine forward as your chest lifts off the ground, and then lower down on your exhale. Keep your belly button pulling inwards to ensure that low back is supported. We're ideally putting this extension just in the upper back so that we're flattening that natural roundness and we're not just arching more in the lower back. So take notice of how this feels and where you feel this in your back. Again, keeping the neck long because we want to make sure that the neck isn't doing the movement for us. We want it to be in that upper spine, right between the shoulder blades and that upper area. Let's do another 3. And 2 more. Inhale, lift, flattening through that upper back. Exhale, lower. 1 more, lifting up. Lowering it down. Let's go ahead and take our hands by the shoulders, push yourself to a child's pose and take a little stretch for your lower back. Come forward to a quadruped, hands and knees. Pointing your index finger forward, let's make some of those nice little wrist circles just to feel some weight into our wrists. 3 circles in each direction, getting some nice fluid going and moving in the wrists, and just starting to give our hands and wrists a moment to prepare for our body weight. All right, once you've done those circles, space between the shoulder blades, just some. We're going to try not to round through the upper back, but we want to keep that consistent space so that we're making sure that we're broad in the upper back and our deep upper back muscles are engaged and supporting tummy, pulling inwards, tail tucks. Let's go ahead and step 1 foot back, or coming into our plank, and then the other foot. Hold and breathe. We're staying here, so let's go ahead and focus on our breath. And then we'll begin to focus on our alignment. So head is in line with the spine. There's space between our shoulder blades, but we're not rounded in the upper back. The abs are lifting and we're tucking the tail a little posterior tilt of the pelvis here to help us really engage the abdominals and hold our position. Lifting from the fronts of the thighs, gripping the floor with your fingertips, really pulling inwards with your belly. Holding and breathing, we are over halfway done. Keep feeling that strength in your shoulders, that strength in your abdominals, the lift from the fronts of your thighs. Any work in the low back, we either put the knees down or lift the hips a little bit higher. Stay and breathe for another 3, 2, 1. Knees down, sit back, stretch your shoulders, move your wrists. Take any movements that feel good. All right, and let's go ahead and come back to all fours. We're just going to pause here for a moment, hands and knees. And again, space between the shoulder blades, tuck your tailbone, feel that lift from your tummy, tuck your toes. Let's lift those knees off the floor. We're just going to hold here for just a few moments. I know we just did a plank, so everything's probably tired, but we're going to build that stamina, hold the lift of the knees, just stay consistent with it, lift up from your belly button, keep a tuck of your tail, hold, hold, hold for another 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. Put your knees down, and then let's all go ahead and turn over so that we're laying on our backs one more time. All right, starting with the knees bent, feet on the floor here. Let's go ahead and make sure our feet are aligned. We have a neutral pelvis, arms heavy by the sides. And let's just squeeze the booty and lift the hips up, engaging your seat. Good. Tap your bottom down, squeeze your buns, lift it back up. Tap your bottom down, lift it up. Good. Tap down and lift. Engaging your seat each time, focusing on engaging the glutes to lift the hips. Just strong from the glutes here. We're going to do another 4 and 3, lifting up from the seat. 2 more, strong inner thighs. 1 more, lift up, and then set your bottom down. Let's go ahead and grab our circle one more time. And we're going to reach the circle towards the ceiling. So just go ahead and take the arms straight up. Bring your shoulder blades back down onto the floor and give a gentle squeeze on the circle. Now let's go ahead and lift the seat back up. So back up into our bridge. We're holding the squeeze on the circle. Let's lift both heels up off of the floor and hold here. Good. So we're really lifted onto the tippy toes. We're holding some squeeze in those arms. We should feel our hamstrings, glutes, inner thighs, calf muscles, and arms working as we hold this position. Good. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Pull your tummy in. Good. Tap your heels down to the floor and then lift them back up again. Good. Tap down, lift up. Just a gentle squeeze on the circle. We want it to feel sustainable. So we're really just keeping that nice, gentle pressure. Good. Stay with it. And you're just using this to help take the arms out of the equation, but also get that little bit of extra arm work as we work our calf muscles, as we work the muscles around our feet and our ankles. Let's do another 3 and 2. One more. Put your heels down, lift your hips a little higher. Roll down one bone at a time, lengthening your spine down onto the ground, finding neutral at the bottom. Let's go ahead and put the circle off to the side. Excellent. And then let's go ahead and bring our hands under the lower back again. So we have our fingers underneath the lumbar spine and we're pulling inwards with the belly button so that we feel the low back just gently pushing into the hands. Lifting the legs one at a time up to tabletop and checking in that the low back's pressure on the hands has not changed. We're still just keeping that pulling inwards. Excellent. We're going to straighten one leg out on the exhale. Inhale, bend it. Exhale, other side. Pull that belly in towards the spine and keep that gentle pressure on your hands with the low back the whole time. By putting the hands under the low back like this, we can kind of trick some extra engagement of the transverse abdominis. So keeping the tummy and those deep abdominal muscles pulling inwards to keep that gentle pressure on the hands. Excellent. We're doing 3 more on each side. If taking the leg out straight on a diagonal is too much, we go up towards the ceiling with the leg instead. Good. Let's do just 1 more on each side. Pulling in with the tummy, keeping that gentle pressure. Coming to center, let's go ahead and put the feet down. We'll take the hands out from behind the low back. And then let's go ahead and lift up again into our bridge. Holding here, let's squeeze the seat, pull your tummy in, see if you can feel like you're lengthening your lower back and pulling your pubic bone towards your rib cage. Engage your inner thighs, shift your weight onto your right foot, and then lift your left foot up. And maybe it's just under the tippy toes, maybe we're coming up to a little tabletop with that leg. So holding here, let's make sure we're not twisting the pelvis or dropping the hip of that lifted leg. So we're really lifting up and keeping that position. Hold and breathe. Let's lower the lifted leg so it comes back down towards the floor, lift it back up. Good. And lower, inhale, exhale, lift. We're doing 3 more of these. Good. Keeping the level and the lifted pelvis. Last one. Put your foot down. Check in. Make sure that we're feeling that the pelvis is level, that we're squeezing the seat, the hamstrings are engaged. We have some length in the lower back. Hold it there. Ease your weight onto your left foot. Lifting the right leg up to tabletop if it's right for you. You can also just keep your toes on the floor if that's where you need to be today. Hold it. Lower the leg down on the inhale, exhale, lift. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. 3 more here, moving from the hip, and 2. Good, 1 more. And then go ahead and put your foot down. Let's make sure the pelvis is level again and roll down 1 bone at a time, lengthening your spine down onto the floor. Coming all the way down, finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom. Let's all go ahead and take our arms back up over the crown of the head, actually all the way over the crown of the head. This time we'll straighten our legs out on the mat. We'll do a roll up to come to a seat, lifting the head and shoulders, reaching your fingertips forward, rolling through your spine, coming up to your C shape first. And then let's stack the spine. Lifting to our tallest posture, separate your feet so they're about shoulder width apart. Lift up through the crown of your head. Good. Pull your tummy in. Nod your head forward and roll forward one bone at a time. Rolling the crown of the head towards the big toes. Hands lifted in line with the shoulders, lengthening your spine forward, stretching through the backs of your legs. And then grounding those sit bones down and stacking your spine one bone at a time, trying to move each vertebrae, coming to your tallest seat. Head and neck come up last. Inhale here, nice deep inhale. Exhale, nod your head forward. Roll through your upper back, your mid back, use those abs. Roll through the low back, keep the hands lifting, reaching forward through the crown of your head, curl forward through your fingertips, sending your sit bones behind you. Ground the sit bones down, roll back up one bone at a time, stacking your spine, coming to your tallest seat and lifting up through the crown of your head. Good, inhale, exhale, nod your head forward, roll forward. Rolling into that stretch, feeling like you're stretching your spine. Inhale here, create space between your vertebrae, send those sit bones back. Exhale, ground your sit bones and roll back up one bone at a time. Coming up to your tallest seat, we're going to do one more. Lift up through the crown of your head, nod forward, round your upper back, and then your mid back, and then your low back, moving your spine, taking a stretch, creating space between your vertebrae on the inhale. And exhale, grounded sit bones, stack your spine one bone at a time, coming all the way up to your tallest seat. Drop your hands, turn over to your hands and knees. Once we're here, let's stick the sit bones out behind, crown of the head forward, looking at the floor. Lift up from your belly button. And then let's relax the abdominal muscles without moving the spine. Let your belly sort of hang towards the floor. Trying just to feel what it's like to let your abdominal muscles not do anything here. And now suck your tummy in without moving your spine. Engage all of those abdominal muscles and lift them up towards the ceiling. Hold that position. Good. Hold that engagement. Relax your abdominals. Again, we are not moving any of our bodies. We're just moving the abdominal muscles, letting the belly hang towards the floor, letting those muscles hang towards the floor. Pull back in, pull your abdominal muscles inwards, hold that engagement. Keep some space between your shoulder blades. Breathe. Hold it, hold it, hold it. We're going to do one more of these, just letting the abdominals go. Let them hang towards the floor. Notice what that feels like. Relax for just a moment and then pull them back in. Lift them back up towards the ceiling and hold, 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 and breathe. Keeping that lift of your tummy. Excellent. Very nice. Okay, now keeping the engagement, tuck your tailbone and lift your abs towards the ceiling, rounding your lower back. So tuck your tailbone, lift the tummy up towards the ceiling, round and that lower back up towards the sky, and then stick your bum out, trying to keep that lift of your abdominal muscles open across your collarbones and extend your upper back towards the floor. Coming back to neutral with the upper back, tummy's lifting towards the sky. We tuck the tailbone, tilt the pelvis, lift and round that low back towards the ceiling. Stick your bum out, neutral pelvis and spine, open your collarbones, upper back sinks towards the floor. Back to neutral, tummy in, round your low back, lifting that lumbar spine towards the ceiling, belly button lifting up, tailbone tucks. Back to neutral with the pelvis, open across your chest, upper back sinks to the ground, belly button stays lifting up towards the sky. Neutral, and one more like this, round through your lower back, lifting your belly, stick your bum out, open across your chest, upper back sinks to the floor. Neutral pelvis, sit back, stretch, take your weight off your hands, move your wrists. Hands reach out overhead and then taking a little side stretch, walking your hands over to one side as feels comfortable. Noticing where you feel this stretch, depending on your body. It might be in your shoulders, it might be in your side body. Might feel it even in your glutes, depending on what's tight. Pause here, breathe. Take it back to center. Let's go to the other side. Hands walk to the side of the mat, lengthening your side body, stretching, and just noticing where you feel the stretch. Breathing. Let's bring it back to center. And then we'll go ahead and roll up one bone at a time to a seat. That's our class for today, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you, Kara.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Kira.